right, ball fans. All right, SEC fans. Catfish here. We're bringing it to you live from the Volunteer Roadshow Studios in Barstow, California. And we've got a very, very special guest on the show, the legend, the voice of Vol Nation, Big Vol Daddy. How you doing there, buddy?
What's going on, boys and girls? First of all, I'd just like to say what an honor it is to be on the Voice of the Common Vol Fan show. What an honor and privilege it is to be here, just sitting beside you, Catfish.
Well, I'm glad you're on the show. So tell us what you were feeling up until they named the coach. What has this past week been like, or 2 weeks been like for you?
I've been trying, just like I've said in my videos, I've been trying really hard not to even think about it and not worry about it, because I found that's the best way to avoid heartache when it comes to this program lately. It's no secret to anyone inside or outside the Tennessee program. This thing's been a train wreck for the last 9-10 years. And at first, as you well know, it's what we live day and night, and each bad thing that happens just resonates louder and louder and louder until it starts affecting your health. And that's exactly what was happening with me. And when it got to that point, I was like, you know what, this is just crazy. I mean, I love my Vols. I'm always going to love Tennessee. They're always going to be my ride or die, but I can't let these dudes affect my health anymore. And that's kind of the approach I took to this whole coaching search, was wait and see.
Well, I want to fast forward a little bit. I want to know what your thoughts are. I think I know what they are, but what did you think about them firing John Currie and bringing in Mr. Vol, Phillip Fulmer? How did you feel about that move?
I think, like a lot of Tennessee fans, I felt like it was, and I'm not going to say too little too late, but I felt like maybe Fulmer should have been the guy to start with. The whole irony behind Currie being the athletic director over Fulmer, and then Currie getting canned to bring Fulmer back, it was just seething in irony, and I love it. My first choice way back when was Blackburn. He was the guy that I wanted. But hindsight's always 20/20, and I don't know that he would have been necessarily the right choice. That's something we'll never know. I think the right guy for right now is in place, and that's all that matters.
I've been listening to the ball fans out there, and I keep hearing the same theme come up that don't like Fulmer, the anti-Fulmer people out there that said that Fulmer sabotaged Currie so he could be the athletic director. Do you buy any of that? I'm just not buying it. And if he did, I'm glad he did sabotage some of these moves that he was making, because I think he had Tennessee, in his heart the whole time.
Well, Fulmer's got a reputation for being a saboteur. Going back to Johnny Majors, we all know what happened back then. I don't know, man. I mean, it's something we will never really, truly, factually know one way or the other. And it doesn't matter. If he did, good for him. He got the right guy in there, that being himself. We'll find out if he ends up being the right guy. I guess we might get to this later, but the one thing he said in that press conference today, I don't know if you stayed with it the whole way, was he mentioned the basketball program, the women's basketball. He mentioned all the other programs today. And, of course, he followed that up with saying that football is the engine that drives the train, and that's true, it is. But as an athletic director, you can't forget about these other sports. I mean, you're sabotaging yourself if you do that.
Well, what I got out of that comment that you're referencing is he said he's glad this coaching search is over, so now he can get on to, Holly Warwick and Rick Barnes, and that he has the whole university in mind in his job. It's not just a football thing, because our basketball team, and I told you before the season in private, I thought they were going to be a pretty good team, and everybody had them at the bottom of the SEC, and they're on the rise.
Yeah, just like last year, we were picked 13th, I think, in the league, and started out on fire and then kind of fizzled at the end. That's what we got to guard against this year. But another video for another day. Yeah, Holly Warlick, she's kind of, I don't know what the right word or phrase is, but our fans are not very happy with her right now. Um, right or wrong or indifferent, we won't know at least till the end of this year. Uh, but she's a legend too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we need in our athletic department is we need fall people. And I was glad to see that Pruitt has already hired Terry Fair. So
Oh,
I'm not.
really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, Terry Fair, Helton from Colorado State, and gosh, who was the third person? I can't remember. But he had already put three people on the staff, is what they were reporting on. I think WNML today. Um, Actually, Feinbaum. That's where I heard that. That's right.
Well, take us through your day. When you got up this morning, we heard that Pruitt was on the radar and they're finalizing a deal. What do you really feel about Pruitt? What is your thoughts about him? I have to say, when I first heard about him, I didn't know a whole lot about him in depth, and I was kind of on the fence. But when I heard that press conference, I was sold. I was impressed. I heard a lot of Nick Saban, and it's like you said in your text, it's Nick Saban but with a personality. So, what do you think about Pruitt?
Yeah, I, Pruitt wasn't on my radar. I'm not going to lie, but he wasn't on a lot of people's radar. I don't think he wasn't a name that was quickly mentioned, and for whatever reason, maybe it's because there were so many other viable candidates out there that kept getting plucked off one by one by one, and I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I know all there is to know about Jeremy Pruitt, but I did know the basics. I knew he was a great defensive mind. He was at Alabama, had been at Georgia, but all the other specifics like being a high school coach and all that, I didn't know that about him. I'm trying to guard also against feeling the love of a press conference because we did the same thing with Kiffin, we did the same thing with Dooley, and we did the same thing with Jones. And yeah, it was a great press conference, but they all are. So now it's going to be down to will he get out there and do the things he says he's going to do? And I know he's very ambitious about this next season with the kids we've got, but I, mm, I'm not going to be one of these people that says we're going 15-0. I promise you that. I mean, I will be one of those people that says that, but I'm smart enough to know we're not going 15-0 next year. We might go 14-1, but we'll see. Seriously though, I we definitely could have done worse, Catfish. Let's put it that way.
Well, I tell you, the thing about that press conference that really excited me was, I'm going to quote here. He says, "There was a time and place when the university was feared. My goal as the head football coach at the University of Tennessee is to get us back to that point." What did that make you feel?
I can't say it right here. This is a family show, and I might be able to say it on my end of this, but yeah, it got me fired up. I'm not going to lie. And we've needed something like that. We've needed a reason to be fired up. But again, I've said it 2 or 3 times already, and I'm going to keep hammering it home. I'm going to try my best to be cautiously optimistic this time around. I just tired of getting my feelings hurt, and tired of looking like an idiot on YouTube, even though that's what the people seem to want. They want us making idiots and, pardon the expression, dumbasses out of ourselves on here. So I'm ready to get on here someday and say, how about that? Tennessee Vols, SEC champs.
Well, I guess the best part about that press conference is what wasn't in the press conference, what was missing from the last 5 years of press conferences. That's probably what excited me the most.
What,
Is
the word individual?
and all that, yes, all
Yeah.
the cliches.
Not one brick was laid today, was it?
Nope. But I tell you what, there's been some bricks crap in the SEC. Deep down, they know that we've got a good coach, and the dumpster fire has officially been put out, and we're starting to plant some petunias around this thing, and we're going 15-0. I promise you that.
Planting some petunias. It looks like everything's going to be all right on that end, you know.
All right.
All
All right.
right. I know that's what everybody was thinking today as they watched and heard that press conference was, man, he sure is saying that a lot. But it's like I texted you today. As long as he wins, he can say all he wants, and it won't bother me. It's probably all the Butchisms wouldn't have been so bad had we been winning, but
That's true.
that's part of it. I mean, when you're at this point, I think we pick everything apart. You know, we take every little detail and analyze it and try and dissect it and blast it out of the water or run with it. And when your program sucks as bad as ours has been lately, that's all we're left to play with, you know?
I think you're right. I think when you're winning, we would have accepted those cliches and we're probably championed it and thought it was great. And when you start losing, that's the easiest thing to pick on, and you start
Well,
picking things apart. I think you're exactly right.
let's examine that for just 1 second, Catfish. Georgia, they're at the top of their game right now, the best their program's been in many years. And they wear these big, goofy ass looking shoulder pads on the sideline with Nerf spikes sticking up. I promise you, if they were losing, every Georgia fan on the planet would be tearing that to shreds. Miami, what is it they carry? The big chain or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd say their fans aren't feeling too happy about that chain right now, seeing as they've lost their last 2 games. And I mean, even Alabama, they have that kind of stuff too. Every university does something like that. They have their cliches or they have their little gimmick, and it just so happens ours this year was a friggin' trash can. I mean, it couldn't have been more fitting.
I think he had good intentions, but dang, I mean, he set himself up to be bashed with that stupid stuff. And
Yeah,
it was just like we're, junior high kids. These are 18, 19, 20, 22-year-old young men. And if you have to have a gimmick for a damn trash can, then you're probably not coaching very well, is my opinion. But that's just me. What do I know? I'm a truck driver.
that's just a sign of the times, man. Kids today seem to need extra motivation for whatever reason, extra juice as they call it nowadays.
You notice one of those guys asked the question, are you going to be coaching in the playoffs? And the way I took his answer is he's going to be working for us up until that dead period. I really don't exactly know what that means. And then he's going to go back to his team because he has a commitment to his team. And I really liked what he said. I had a commitment to those kids that I went in their living rooms about, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah, he also said something to the effect about this early signing thing that it's new and I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but it's basically going to be a trial and error type thing for them too, and basically don't get your feelings hurt if you don't look when this comes along. You don't see all the names you were expecting to see signed.
Well, I'll tell you what I got out of that is that what he was saying is that it's not a new signing day. It opens it up to sooner, that they don't have to sign whatever day
Right.
it is in December. They can sign all the way up to a certain point. It just opens it up, from what I understand. And to go back to that press conference, another thing that impressed me is somebody asked him, is he going to be running the 3-4 defense or whatever? And he said, hey, we've got to play the scheme that best fits our players. And it seemed like he was very adaptable and he wasn't going to get stuck in a rut of playing his defense, hit the way he plays football, that he was going to take the kids that we got and form the best game plan off of that. So I appreciated that out of him.
Well, that's certainly a new theory for coaches on the hill, because it sure wasn't that way with Jones. Here's something else too that I just thought of. When's the last time, if ever, you remember the head coach of the Tennessee Vols also coaching the Alabama Crimson Tide in the same season?
Did you notice what when they asked Phillip Fulmer that question about him doing that, and Phillip Fulmer says, "I think that is a bonus because he's
Yeah,
going to be on television," and it a light went off, and I'm like, he's exactly right. You know, they're going to be talking about he's the Tennessee head coach on national television, so I think it is a bonus that he's doing it.
sure. I mean, any publicity is, what's that saying? Any publicity is good publicity.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, we don't know what they'll be saying about Tennessee when this happens, but they'll be talking about us. And
Yeah.
that has to kill the Gumps. That has to
Oh, it
kill
does.
Bammer Nation. Oh, the one thing that Pruitt said that I loved was it doesn't matter if you've got 4 or 5 speed or not if you're running away from the ball.
I heard of that. You're just wandering away from the ball really quickly.
Yeah.
Well, BVD, it sure has been a pleasure to have somebody of your legendary status on the show, and you really
Yeah,
are the
whatever.
voice of all nation. So thanks for tuning in. We're going 15-0.
15
I
and 0.
promise you that. All right.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right. All right. All right. All right.
All right. All right. I'm down. All right.